Hey guys, it is June the 1st, 2024. I hope everybody's having a wonderful start to their weekend. We are officially in summer now, and I figured that with us going into the summer that I would discuss a very important topic. And the topic of today is, and I think this is probably one of the most important topics I've ever discussed on this channel, other than just talking about, the health-related problems that come along with alcohol. But this is one that still to this day, it really bothers me, and I just wanted to bring some light to this. And it is alcohol advertising and how the big alcohol companies advertise to us and the things that they do, in order to get people to drink more alcohol. And it's just disturbing. I mean, it really is. Doing the research for today's video, I was already disturbed before just with the amount of advertising that's out there to begin with. But after doing the research today, I am just blown away. I'm more than disturbed. I'm disgusted by what's going on with the advertisement with alcohol. I don't see how this is possible. I don't understand why this is allowed to happen. I just don't think that they should be able to advertise alcohol in the manner that they do. We don't advertise cigarettes, tobacco products, any of that stuff. Now that there are some advertisings, I guess, like I think I've seen some billboards and like signs and stuff like that for like tobacco products before, but there are no commercials for tobacco products. But alcohol companies can, and there might be a little bit of advertising for tobacco, but the alcohol company is on the complete opposite side of the spectrum as far as that's concerned. We don't have advertisements for drugs. There's no advertisements for, Mary Jane or any of that kind of stuff. You just don't see it. I mean, I've seen some stuff here and there, like The Mood, I think is the name of the company. It was on, like, every time I would turn a video on YouTube, it would be those Mood gummies and stuff like that I would see. But you just don't see a lot of that kind of stuff. And that's the first, like, I was watching television one day with my wife, and that the Mood gummy thing came on. I was just blown away that they were even able to advertise that stuff. But my point for today's video is just kind of going over some of the information that I pulled up today, doing research for today's video, just talking about advertising in the alcohol industry. And it's just disturbing. In 2018, alcohol sales were $250 billion. $250 billion in alcohol sales. That is just ridiculous. And looking at my point to today's video is that these alcohol companies are able to do advertising, promotions, all this stuff, and they're getting their advertising out, and it's not only is it getting out to people that are of age, but it's getting out to people that are underage. And supposedly they're not supposed to advertise to people that are underage, but come on. I mean, we all know that they are, and that's the population of people they're really trying to hit. Because if you think about it, and they know how addictive alcohol is. I mean, they've known this for a long time. It's like the opioid crisis that's going on in our country right now. Those drug companies knew how addictive the opioids or opiates or whatever they are. They knew how addictive they were when they started pushing them. And the alcohol companies know how addictive alcohol is, and they continue to push. And they're just in it to make money. They don't care about who gets sick, who loses their families, how many children suffer. I mean, because alcohol consumption and alcoholism doesn't just affect the individual, and more or less it affects the people around them more than it affects the person, I would say. It affects the person who's drinking. Their life starts to spiral out of control. They have health problems, stuff like that. But it really affects the people around us, our families, our friends, the community in general. It affects everybody in a negative way. And for them to be able to push this out there onto us and try to target this younger group of people because they want to have lifelong drinkers. So why wouldn't you go ahead and target them at a young age, get them hooked, and they're going to continue to drink for whatever length of time that they will. And, like I said, at the end of the day, they're in it to make money. They don't care about who they affect, what detriment that it puts on society. They don't care. It's all about making money, putting more money in the pockets of the owners of the company, the CEOs, the investors, and all that kind of stuff. So just right here, and I think this was from 2010, these numbers that I got right here. This is how much that, and this is right here is talking about lobbyists, because I was interested to see how much that they spend just in lobbying in DC with their alcohol companies, because that plays a huge role. If it wasn't for the lobbyists, going in there and, trying to get things where they want them, the way they want them to be, that's why they have lobbyists. These guys go in, there's always transactions under the table. There's all kinds of shady business going on. Why we have lobbyists, I don't know. And that's a discussion for another day. But especially to have alcohol lobbyists that, what's going on. There's shady deals happening. And this is just the numbers that are out there for us to find out about. But I'm just going to give you some numbers of how much these alcohol companies spent in lobbying in 2010. Okay, so Distilled Spirits Group spent $10.18 million. And this is in one quarter in advertising. Diageo, $670,000, and if I mispronounce that company, I'm sorry. Anheuser-Busch, $670,000. Wine Spirits, $240,000. Pernod Ricard, $180,000, and Beer Institute, $110,000. And that's just a few of the companies that invested in lobbying. There are 303 total lobbyists, and this is older information. I don't know what the most current information is on this, but at the point in time I did this is from 2010. 303 alcohol lobbyists in DC. 303. I mean, that is just insane. Alcohol companies spend $6 billion a year in advertising. $6 billion. Think about that and how much money they're dropping. And when companies spend that kind of money on advertising, they know they're going to get their money back tenfold. People don't spend money on advertising, not expecting to get a gain in sales. They do it knowing that they are going to increase their sales. And for them to spend that much money, I mean, how much money are they raking in at the end of the year? Total revenue in alcohol sales, $283.8 billion in alcohol revenue. And that's for beer, wine, and liquor. That's across the board, but still, that's just ridiculous. They expect to grow 5.5% each year from now to 2027. So with a total revenue of $283.8 billion, and they're expected to grow 5.5% each year, and that's on top each year. That's growth on top of growth. That's not just, comparing from the first year to, each year. That's sales each year growing. So if they increase their sales, let's say their sales are $100 million, they increase by 5.5, then they're at, 1.005% or whatever. It'd be $100,500,000 or whatever. They're planning on increasing their sales 5.5% on that $100,500,000, not the $100 million each year. So they're continually growing on top of these numbers. So looking at some of the, and my notes are just kind of all over the place here. But I was looking at just like, what kind of advertising they do, what kind of advertising have, like, the different kind of categories they advertise in. But there is an increase of 67% year over year in quarter 4 of the NFL season. Hard seltzers are expected to grow at 22.9% from now to 2030. So the hard seltzer market is like it's their baby, and like they are really trying to grow on that. And just think about that for a minute. Who drinks hard seltzers? You don't see a lot of older people drinking hard seltzer. The majority of people that are drinking hard seltzers are the younger folks that are drinking those. So they are targeting those younger people and trying to get them hooked and keep them in the game for as long as they can. And they are expected to grow by 22.9% in a matter of what? 5 years? I mean, that's just crazy. The wine industry increased their budgets to 21%. They increased their budget for 21% for advertising. I mean, just, it's crazy. I'm sorry, I'm kind of all over the place today. But my notes, I started taking notes, and I have like a bunch of stuff over here as well. But one of the things I wanted to talk about too is, all the advertisement as well that we don't even think about. Think about this, for instance. When you go to Target or Walmart or any of these places, when you walk by the clothing section or where they got like their cups, tumblers, and stuff like this, what do you always see? Or clocks, or ornamental stuff that you would hang on your wall. You always see, if you go into Target and you walk back in the little area where they've got like all this, like the home decor and stuff like that, what do you always see there? It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Wine, mommy. I wrote down a bunch of this stuff. Corks are for quitters. I need a hug. And it says hug, and then there's a little teeny E at the bottom. So it's meant to say huge, but what you see is hug, and it says, I need a hug, huge glass of wine. Who, what, when, where, wine. Professional wine taster. I mean, all this kind of stuff. You see these things in the stores. You see it. You see shirts with this stuff on. I can't tell you how many times I've seen shirts that say like, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, or wine mommy, or wine mom, or something like that. And I see people wearing this stuff. It's like this like cool idea, like you get a group of people together and they're talking about their wine and whatever, and they've all got their cups that say wine o'clock and, all this kind of stuff. And I mean, when people wear this gear, they don't realize as well, but when they're wearing that, they think that they're being funny. But at the same time, think about those kids that are seeing that stuff, and they think that stuff's cool too. It's just unbelievable to me. The amount of advertising that's going on and subliminal messaging that's happening, just wearing the clothes. I mean, do you think I would imagine that a lot of these alcohol companies are the ones that are investing in these clothing lines. I would put $1 million on it if I had it. That somewhere down the line, Anheuser-Busch or one of these companies is investing in these clothing lines, or one of these wine companies is investing in these clothing lines and getting this stuff out there, because it's advertising. And people wear it thinking that it's cool, but they don't realize as well that they're advertising to young people as well. So let me pull this up on here, because I had a bunch of facts that I wanted to talk about. I pulled up, and if you look up just like alcohol marketing on the internet, there's like websites dedicated just for people to learn how to market their alcohol to people. But there is like just so much stuff. And from what I read here too, from 1948 until the mid 20th century, advertising to the liquor market on television wasn't practiced. But in 1996, they were able to start doing it again. And the first ad was Crown Royal Whiskey. And then after that, a bunch of liquor companies jumped on board. But they've just got, and this is a website that's just talking about marketing to people with alcohol. They've got understanding who you're marketing to, jump on trends and hashtags, engage with your social media audience, boost brand awareness, get in contact with your market. And this is like, the key point. And then there's like a whole paragraph or a couple paragraphs on each one of these explaining it all. Tell the history of your brand, experimental marketing, alcohol marketing in the competition, trade association codes. And it says here, ensure all communications are intended for men and women of legal age. Okay. Digital alcohol marketing should only be used on platforms where at least 70% of the audience is of legal age. Okay. Any direct interaction with audience should require age verification before said interaction. Any content generated by users appearing on a page or site should be moderated and monitored. Questions and answers about alcohol marketing. I don't understand that one. Can you advertise hard liquor on TV? Yes, you can advertise hard liquor on television. How large is the world alcohol market? Alcohol marketing is a multi-billion-dollar business, and the market is continuing to grow. Between 2018 and 2024, the market is expected to grow by 4%. Is it illegal to market to minors? Yes, it is illegal to market to minors. Brands are required to take precautions to ensure communication and content aren't presented to anyone under the legal drinking age. Yeah, okay. And we all know, good and well, that is not the case. They know exactly what they're doing. Now, that's the whole, I'm going to look this way while this is happening and pretend like I don't know what's going on. What is the yearly market for alcohol? In 2018, United States alcohol sales topped $250 billion. It is estimated that each American drinks about 2.5 gallons of alcohol in the forms of wine, beer, and mixed beverages each year. Well, I'm not an average American because when I drank, that was just like a half a week's worth for me. But I started off just like a normal American, and then got it. It got its hooks into me, and I was done. What is the best way to market to millennials? Millennials are often called the first digitally native group. They've grown with technology and watched it evolve over time. With this in mind, social media and ads are two significant parts of reaching millennials. Try to build a brand, personality that people can relate to and want to be a part of. What is the best way to market to Gen Z? Only a small portion of Gen Z is currently of the legal drinking age. Gen Zers are just as intertwined with social media as millennials. Based on the current growth in social media and the introduction of new social platforms, best marketing practices for Gen Zers are continually evolving. And this is alcohol marketing 101, what to know. I mean, you can look this stuff up. So what do the alcohol companies, like, where do they advertise? And this right here is sports, okay? Alcohol companies sponsor varieties of entities, including sports teams, athletes, and events. Sports teams. Alcohol companies sponsors many sports, including American football, baseball, basketball, soccer, ice hockey, motor racing, golf, tennis, mixed martial arts, and horse racing. For example, Anheuser-Busch, Diageo, Anheuser-Busch, InBev, Molson Coors, and Miller Lite have all sponsored NFL teams and franchises. During the 2022-23 season, alcohol brands contributed $480 million in sponsorship revenue across the NFL, NBA, MLB, and NHL. That's $500,000 in advertising just in sports. Athletes. Alcohol companies also sponsor individual athletes such as former NFL running back Shane Patrick Henry Vereen, former professional football player Devin Hester, and three-time Paralympic bronze medalist Danielle Umstead. Events. Alcohol companies can also sponsor events such as the Hola Mexican Film Festival, which is sponsored by Victoria, a lager from Grupo Modelo. Miller Lite has also sponsored the Houston Hot Sauce Festival and the Young Men's Business League. I already went over that part right there. And this right here is talking about, this is something about advertising. But I had some more points here as well. And this is about lobbying right here. And it's talking about there's 303 lobbyists, number of clients 38. And it's got the breakdown of all the different, and this is Open Secrets. And it's talking about how much each one of these companies spent. Anheuser-Busch, $5.29 million. Distilled Spirits Council, $3.6 million. Pernod Ricard, $3.2 million. And I'm not sure, oh, this is from 1998 to 2023. This is totals and how much these companies spent in lobbying. A total of, so I guess from 1998 to 2023, $29 million that they've spent in lobbying. And it just breaks it down. Beer Institute, $2.93 million. Molson Coors, $2.6 million. Diego PLC, $1.5 million. Why do these companies invest all this money in lobbyists? Because they want to get their way, and they want to be able to continue to advertise to whatever group they want to. And it just doesn't make any sense to me. We know how dangerous that tobacco is, and we're not allowed, they're not allowed to do any advertisements for tobacco. Why are they allowed to advertise for alcohol? Alcohol kills so many people every year. And the statistics are just increasing every year as well. Every year, more and more people are, becoming addicted to alcohol. More and more people are becoming alcoholics. And they know these numbers, they see these numbers, and they don't care. They just continually push. Every single time that I turn on the TV, there's an alcohol commercial. And the reason that I wanted to make today's video is because yesterday I was watching a movie, and I can't remember, I think it might have been Prime that I was watching it on, and they did an ad. If you watch Prime, there's ads, especially like Hulu and stuff like that. There's ads. I don't know how, I guess maybe every 20 minutes or so an ad will pop up. But I was watching an ad, it was for a liquor, and they were making martinis. And I'm watching this, and my wife was watching it with me, and I looked over her and I said, I can taste that in my mouth right now. Because of the commercial, they were sitting there, shaking the martini, pouring a glass, all this stuff. And I looked at my wife, I said, I can taste that. Like, I can seriously taste this in my mouth right now. I get it if it's a movie and they're drinking or whatever, but the commercials, I just don't understand it. Every time I turn on YouTube, there's an alcohol commercial. Any of these streaming sites, there are alcohol commercials. You go on a news site or something, there's always ads on those sites, alcohol ads. Now, another thing too is, and I don't know if you guys have ever tested this before, but if we got our phones on us all the time. Our phones are listening to us. It's not a conspiracy or anything like that. My wife and I were talking about this years ago, and we didn't have any cats at the time. And I was telling my wife, we were just having a conversation about advertising and how our phones are listening to us. And they listen to us talk. They're watching our traffic, what we do online. There are companies that pay for this information, and they want it. They want to be able to traffic where we're going, what we're looking at, because I'm sure you guys have done this before. You've gone onto a website and you've looked up inflatable pool toys, and for the next week, every single time you go to whatever website it is, or on any, whatever it is, you'll see in the middle of the page, it'll be inflatable pool toys here, commercials for inflatable pool toys will come up. And when I was talking to my wife that day, I said, let's talk about cat litter. We didn't have any cats. So we sat there for like 20, 30 minutes and talked about cat litter. We talked about cat food. We talked about, cat products. That's all we discussed. We had both of our phones laying on the table while we talked about this. Well, I'm not kidding you. After our conversation, I got on my phone, started looking online, started going to some websites. Guess what started popping up on our phones? Cat litter. I haven't looked up cat litter. I've never looked up cat litter on my phone, ever. And there it was, right there in front of my face, cat litter advertisements. I mean, it was right there, and this was years ago. So, what's the technology now, that they can listen to? So, if you're watching these videos and they're alcohol related, what do you think the kind of advertisement they're going to be able to start putting up on your phone? This stuff isn't like, just happenstance. It's not a coincidence. It happens for a reason. And, these software engineers, these people that are doing all this kind of stuff, developing these websites, whatever, they know what they're doing, especially with the advertisement. And if you're watching something like one of these alcohol videos or whatever, what do you think is going to start popping up? And I'm sure you guys have seen it before. I have watched my videos on here before, and on a commercial, there was an alcohol commercial on here. And I'm talking about why not to drink and why to stay away from alcohol. And there was an alcohol commercial on here. It just blows my mind that they're allowed to do that. But I don't know. And another thing too, and I don't think they're allowed to do this anymore, but they used to be able to do this. But when I was in the restaurant industry, the beer distributors and the wine distributors, they used to come in there with boxes, and I mean boxes of stuff, with hundreds of t-shirts, keychains, cups, all kinds of stuff, and they would just give it to us. And then we would all take it. We would let our servers wear the Coors Light shirt on Friday nights, or the Bud Light shirts, whatever. They would give us baseball caps, sunglasses, jewelry. There'd be necklaces. There would be bottle openers with like a necklace with a bottle opener on it. All this kind of stuff. And I don't think they're allowed to do that anymore, but they used to. And what are they allowed to do now? I'm not exactly sure, but the thing is like back then, I wonder how much money they spent on all that gear. I mean, I've had merch made for the channel, and I know how much I spent on it, and it wasn't cheap. And I'm sure they're getting a pretty good deal, but let's say they're paying $4 a t-shirt, which is a super good deal. But let's say that's how cheap that they're getting them for it. Still, they would come to my restaurant and give us 100 t-shirts. I mean, that's $400 just in shirts right there for one restaurant. How many other restaurants were they giving this stuff to? I mean, it just blows my mind. They were dropping millions of dollars to just give out this stuff, but the reason they were doing it is because they knew they were going to get that money back tenfold. And the point of today's video is that I don't think it's right that they're able to do that. And every single time we watch one of those commercials, you're driving down the road, you see a billboard, it's all over the place. We constantly get these triggers, and I just don't understand how it's okay for the alcohol companies to be able to do this. And I'm just speaking my mind right now. If you don't agree with me, I understand, but I just don't understand how they're able to do this. I don't think it's right, and I don't know what the steps could be to speak up and say something about this, and maybe have some action in place in order to maybe stop this from happening. Do we reach out to our congressmen? What do we do? And I would be more than happy to hear from you guys on what we could do to maybe try to stop this, because I just don't think it's right, and I don't think it's okay, and I don't understand why they get a free pass. And the reason is because they've got 303 lobbyists in DC that are going in and doing all kinds of under the table deals. They're paying off politicians in order to be able to do, keep their commercials on TV and have them on these streaming services, and have alcohol ads in your magazines, and sponsoring your local kids baseball team. I mean, I've seen stuff like that before. A little kids baseball league. There it is, A and B beverage, or whatever the local beer supplier is, whatever their local name is. They sponsor all kinds of stuff. You see it all the time. And how is that okay? I just don't get it. Let me know what you guys think. What could we do to maybe make this go away? It all starts with, a thought, and one person, stepping up and saying enough's enough, and then a group of people coming together and saying it's not okay. And yeah, we might not be the biggest group of people in the world right now. You know, this community is about 6,000 strong. I just looked at the numbers this morning. We're almost at 6,000 subscribers. And there's more people that watch this channel that aren't subscribed. I've looked at the numbers before. I think it's something like 20% of the people that watch this channel are subscribed to the channel. The other 80% are not subscribed. So how many other thousands of people are watching this? And, you know, my thing is that, you know, we've got a community of people here, and if everybody, you know, chipped in and did something, wrote a congressman, did something, we might be able to make this go away. Think about all the children out there who are going to see some advertisement, and they're going to think it's a cool, great idea to have a beverage, and the next thing you know, what happens? And we need to stop this in its tracks, and try to stop this next generation of young folks from going down the same path that we did. Because alcohol destroys lives. And if we can stop it now, you know, think about how many people's lives would be different. And think about, you know, not only this next generation of children that's coming up right now, that if we could stop them from drinking. It's like I tell my kids all the time, I don't want you to drink at all. I tell them all the time how destructive alcohol is. But if we could stop this next generation from going on the same path as us, think about the next generation after them. And how their children aren't going to grow up watching their parents drink, and then, you know, maybe they'll stop, and then the next generation. And it's all about what we can do for that next generation of people. We got to leave this place better off for the next generation of people, and keep improving. And yeah, you know, we might just be one person, you might just be one person, but together we might be able to do something about this. And I just don't think it's okay. And I'm just speaking my mind, guys, and I'm sorry if I upset anybody about discussing this, but I just don't think that being able to advertise alcohol like this is all right. I just don't. And you know, the thing is that it's like anything else. It's like sneakers or clothes brands and stuff like that. How do those brands get popular? It's because of advertisement. It's because they get, you know, influential people to wear them. And, you know, next thing you know, it's huge. And just look at the hard seltzer market, for instance, and I'm gonna hop off of here. Look at this hard seltzer market. That started off just a few years ago. That market was not, you know, 45-year-old men that were drinking hard seltzers. Now, there are some people that do, but that market was targeted towards younger folks. You know, people that were trying to, you know, not drink a whole lot of sugar. You know, the hard seltzer thing is, you know, it's less calories, not so much sugar, blah, 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 blah. It's a healthier alternative to beer or whatever. They're reaching out to those younger people that are conscious of their bodies. Well, their body is not going to be looking all that great in 20 years after drinking a bunch of hard seltzers. And the thing is, you know, what that stuff is, you just don't, you know, you might start off drinking hard seltzers, but just like anything else, I've talked about this over and over again, as our tolerance increases, so does the amount of alcohol that we have to drink. And just like me, I started off drinking beer, you know. I saw everybody was drinking beer. There was always beer advertisements. And I'm not saying that's the reason that I drank. I'm just saying that, it had, you know, I'm sure it had a part to play in it. And I started off drinking beer. I drank beer all the time. I mean, when I first started drinking beer, I was drinking Bud Light. And I didn't drink that many of them. 3 beers, I would be about drunk. And, you know, as time progressed, well, those 3 beers, it took 6 beers. And then the 6 beers, it took a 12-pack. And then and then drinking 12 beers, I didn't even hardly even feel it. So it went from a 12-pack, and then, you know, I started dabbling in some higher test beers. And then those higher test beers, well, I would get too full and bloated from drinking a 6-pack of those. Next thing you know, I moved into hard liquor. And then game over after that. Once I got into the hard liquor game, that was it. I couldn't control my drinking anymore. And that's when everything just started going downhill like that. As soon as I got into the hard liquor game. And these companies know that. They do. And, you know, like I said, what can we do to stop this? And what can we do? You know, where do we go from here? I'd love to hear you guys' answers. But I'm sorry to rant about this, but this is one of the things that just really ticks me off, and I am passionate about it, and I just don't understand how these alcohol companies are allowed to do this and continue to push these products out And they're not just pushing them to people that are our age. They're pushing them off to the younger group of people. That's what those advertisements are there for. People that already drink. They don't need advertisements to drink alcohol. If you're an alcoholic, you probably already have the brand that you drink. You stick to that brand unless you just don't have the money, and then you have to buy the bottom shelf stuff. But for most of us that are big drinkers, if it was Grey Goose, that's what you drank. And you drink Grey Goose all the time. You find a brand of liquor or a brand of beer or whatever it is, and that's pretty much what you stick to. They're reaching out to those younger guys because they want to get them hooked on a brand. And once they get them there, then guess what? Just like I was just talking about, you're branded now. That's the brand that you drink, and you're going to stick to it. And they're trying to get their claws into that younger group of people, and we've got to stop it, or at least try. But anyway, guys, that's all I wanted to talk about today. Sorry to rant about this. Sorry that my notes were all over the place. I just got on and started writing down notes and didn't have it organized in the best manner, but it is what it is. And thank you so much for watching today, guys. I really do appreciate it. I'm just a little bit annoyed now talking about this, but guys, I love you so much. And thank you so much, Crystal, for hopping on there yesterday and letting everybody know that you're doing okay. I really do appreciate it. I'm glad to hear that you're doing fine now. I hope that your recovery is doing okay and you're feeling better. Still have yet to hear from Cindy. Cindy, I really hope that you're doing okay. I really do. And I just want you to know this community is all still thinking about you. We all love you. And wherever you're at and whatever your condition is right now, I just want you to know that we are thinking about you. And please let us know whenever you can. Let us know that you're okay. We are all thinking about you right now, and myself included. I'm really worried about you. I haven't heard anything else back from you, and I just want to hear that you're doing all right. So, guys, I will talk to you in tomorrow's video. Don't forget, tomorrow's video is going to be the one with my wife again. If you got any questions, please add them to last week's video. And we'll hop on there tomorrow and answer your questions. I saw there was a question in yesterday's comments for my wife for tomorrow, but I'll make sure that I get that added to the notes for tomorrow's video. But guys, I will see y'all tomorrow. I love you guys so much. Thank you. If you stuck all the way to the end today, thank you so much. I'm sorry, I've been just like discombobulated, not as organized as I usually am, kind of bouncing all over the place. So if you stuck around to the end, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it, because I know that people probably were like, what is he doing today? So thank you so much for hanging around all the way to the end. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Love y'all so much. Bye.